What is up, fellas? We are back for another UFC video. This time, we're doing a recap for UFC Tampa, Buckley versus Covington. Guys, this card was awesome. This card was a sick way to close off the year, for sure. Some of the nastiest, absolute flatline KOs that we've seen this year. Um, couldn't be more pleased with the card, to be honest. It was pretty awesome, especially the main card. The main card delivered. In spades, you know? So yeah, let's jump right in. But before we do, subscribe. Why not? Give me a reason why not. Yeah, I thought not, buddy. Let's go. Kicking off the card, Josephine Knuttson took on Piera Rodriguez. I picked Josephine Knuttson because I thought she was a little bit better in the stand-up. But I did say, and I'm going to say this a lot, I did say that Piera Rodriguez, the line was a little bit insane for me because Piera Rodriguez generally has shown a pretty good level in her UFC career. And in this fight, the big difference was just the grappling. I mean, Piera Rodriguez was able to get down Josephine Knuttson, and once she did, Knuttson really didn't have much. She was able to get up quite a few times throughout the rounds, but even once she got up, it's not like she really had anything for Rodriguez on the feet in any of the three rounds. Rodriguez genuinely just kind of looked like the outright better, more well-rounded mixed martial artist, which was surprising to me. I thought Knuttson would be able to have a pretty distinct advantage on the feet. She did not have that. And Piera Rodriguez in the first round came out very hot, landed some big shots early, and put Joseph V. Knuttson on notice like, hey, I can strike too. And she mixed up the wrestling really well, got a ton of control time. And Knuttson, man, it's kind of a hard loss to have because a lot of people thought she was really good. I thought she was solid, but I did say that the line for this fight was way off because I think Piera Rodriguez was actually kind of good. I think a lot of people were kind of underselling her because of that disqualification loss she had to what's her name, Carnellosi or something like that. I forget her name off the top of my head. Yeah, Carnellosi. But yeah, she's pretty good. She's only ever lost in the UFC to Jillian Robertson by sub, which I don't think is too bad of a loss. So yeah, great win for her. Showed a great account of her skill set here in this fight. Basically, I struck Josephine Knuttson and dominated her in the grappling all three rounds. Got herself a unanimous decision win. Moving up, Davy Grant took on Ramon Tavares. I picked Ramon Tavares in this matchup, but I did say, I'm going to say this a lot, it's cope. I'm coping, guys. I said Davy Grant's probably like one of my favorite underdogs on this card. He was the underdog when I made my predictions video, but they ended up being evens on fight night tonight. But I said basically, I was unsure about how Davy Grant was going to look in this matchup because he was coming off of a neck surgery, a year off without fighting at 38 years old. And I said if Davy Grant shows up and looks like old vintage Davy Grant with all his skill set, he doesn't look terribly washed. I think he beats Ramon Tavares. And I mean, I wasn't exactly wrong, but I picked Ramon Tavares because I was unsure, because there was a lot of intangibles that could have went wrong with this fight for Davy Grant. But Davy Grant came out early, throwing a lot of diversity at Ramon Tavares. Sorry. Basically opening up with a ton of volume, a ton of kicks, mixing up his strikes really, really well. And that's basically what you have to do to a guy like Ramon Tavares is mix it up because Tavares basically is just a boxer. And what do you do when you fight a boxer? You kick the boxer. And Davy Grant, as you can see, I mean, look at the leg kicks. 55 out of 65 leg kicks attempted on Ramon Tavares. A lot of kicks to the body as well. He was really mixing it up well all three rounds. In round two, it was a little bit sketchy. Ramon Tavares landed a big shot on the feet, kind of dropped Davy Grant. They didn't give him a knockdown because he kind of caught a kick in round two and landed a big right hand and dropped him there. But Davy Grant wasn't all too hurt. He got up and recovered pretty well and then continued to put the pace on Ramon Tavares for the rest of the second round and the third round. Third round was more of the same, basically just mixing up the strikes and being way more active. Ramon Tavares really hurt himself in this fight by just not really throwing anything. He was being far too patient, in my opinion. But I think I credit that more so to Davy Grant just putting an insane, diverse set of strikes on Ramon Tavares, keeping him thinking constantly about what was coming his way, whether it was a leg kick, body kick, shots to the head with the boxing, high kick, stuff like that. This was a vintage Davy Grant performance, a really good win for him. I'm really happy that he got this win because he's kind of been screwed over by some of these decisions in his career to Daniel Marcos and like an Adrian Yanez. So I'm glad he got this win. I wasn't sure he was going to look like his old self, but he did, and he got this win. Really good performance from Davy Grant. Moving up, Miranda Maverick took on Jamie Lynn Horth. I'm going to be honest, guys. I did not watch this fight. Forgive me. I just did not give a shit. I tuned in a little bit, but I saw Jamie Lynn Horth in actually some pretty dominant positions in this fight, which actually surprised me. As you can see, all three judges gave Jamie Lynn Horth a round, which is really surprising. I thought Miranda Maverick would honestly just get her out of there in about under 2. But this fight was actually a little bit closely contested in the grappling, more so than I would have expected. Miranda Maverick has a pretty good grappling game, which she did work to win this decision. But I'm kind of impressed by Jamie Lynn Horth, honestly, or maybe I was just a little bit unimpressed by Miranda Maverick. You know, if you're a minus 1,000, you should be doing better than a 29-28. I didn't really watch this fight. I don't think even the people in Tampa, Florida watched this fight. Miranda Maverick out-grappled her and won 2 rounds. Hooray. Here we go. A real fight. Moving up, Miles Johns took on Felipe Lima. I picked Miranda Maverick, I think by decision. Yeah. Moving up, Miles Johns took on Felipe Lima. I picked Felipe Lima by specifically a 30-27 decision. And that's exactly what happened, man. Felipe Lima came out. I said he was going to be way too fast for Miles Johns. Miles Johns is a tough guy, good power, pretty well-rounded as well. But Felipe Lima, his bag is too deep. His skill set is very good for a prospect in this division right now. He's probably one of my favorite prospects at featherweight, even though he's more of a natural bantamweight. But yeah, Felipe Lima was mixing it up on Miles Johns a lot, really frustrating Miles Johns early, just with the speed, throwing spinning kicks, just being light years faster on the feet, throwing nice 1-2s down the pipe. And then when he had the opportunity, he would open up with giant hooks on Miles Johns, landed a bunch of good shots in rounds 1 and 2. Round 3, Felipe Lima showed his grappling game as well, man. Felipe Lima, he's just very well-rounded and very good in this division. I'm excited to see where he goes. He's on a 14-fight win streak right now. Was able to out-grapple Miles Johns the majority of round 3, control the back. I thought he was going to get another round 3 submission like he did against Naimov. Wasn't there. Miles Johns actually got out, stayed tough. Miles Johns was really trying to finish this fight the whole time. It was just Felipe Lima was far too tricky, far too fast for all 3 rounds. He didn't really slow down that much. That's what's so impressive to me about this Felipe Lima kid, is he's got this well-rounded skill set. And he's got the cardio too. He's explosive, he's fast, he's well-rounded. I really like this dude, man. And he put on a great performance here, styling on Miles Johns for all 3 rounds. Got himself a 30-27 decision. Great performance from Felipe Lima over a pretty good Miles Johns. Miles Johns had a good performance, actually. In my opinion, in this matchup. Moving up, Sean Woodson took on Fernando Padilla. I picked Fernando Padilla because I thought maybe he could kind of crowd Sean Woodson, give him some problems on the feet in the clinch, maybe get himself a submission because he does have a lot of submission wins. And the first couple of minutes of this first round, I thought that was the case. I was like, oh my God, Fernando Padilla is really putting it on Sean Woodson. But that didn't last too fucking long now, did it? Fernando Padilla was crowding Sean Woodson early in the round, getting up in the clinch, throwing knees, throwing tight shots, some elbows, got Sean Woodson to the ground. Now, it kind of gave Sean Woodson some control time, but Fernando Padilla was throwing his guard up super high, looking for like a triangle, looking for submissions off of his back. And I was like, man, if he keeps up this activity, we could really get an upset win over Sean Woodson here. But unfortunately, Fernando Padilla did not move his head. And Sean Woodson did find his boxing range after about a couple of minutes because Fernando Padilla really slowed down after the first 2 minutes. I mean, his cardio it looked like it got zapped and he was just walking in a straight line without moving his head. And if you do that against Sean Woodson, he's gonna snipe you, basically. And that's exactly what happened. Sean Woodson, deep in the round 1, unleashed a nasty combo on Fernando Padilla and slept him out cold. It was a great performance from Sean Woodson because I was uncertain, really, with how he would fare against a guy who's a similar frame to him, because normally Sean Woodson's he's a giant frame for this division. So I kind of was a little uncertain of how he was going to look against a guy who was similar to his size here, who is pretty dangerous and who's a finisher himself. And he looked good, man. Outside of like that first minute or two getting crowded up by Fernando Padilla, he locked in, found his boxing range, and unleashed a nasty combination and got the first round TKO over Fernando Padilla. Good win for Sean Woodson. Honestly, I think dare I say, I think he's due for like a top 15 guy at this point. He's on quite the streak right now. Moving up to lightweight, Joel Alvarez took on Drakkar Klose. I picked Joel Alvarez. I think I picked him by submission, but he got the TKO. There were so many nasty KOs on this card, dude. It was fucking awesome. Joel Alvarez, I mean, you saw it the second the fight kind of started, to be honest. Drakkar Klose just looked hesitant a little bit, and I don't blame him. Alvarez looked like he was the size of two Drakkar Kloses stacked on top of each other. It was fucking insane. This guy at lightweight is a serious problem. He's got so many finishes. He's so dangerous on the feet. He's got such a nasty submission game. And man, Joel Alvarez just put the pressure on him. Not even really by throwing all that much. He was just staying in his face outside of his range and just popping him with shots. And every time Joel Alvarez would touch Drakkar Klose, he would feel it. You would see an instant reaction like, holy shit, this guy hits hard. Drakkar Klose was able to mix it up a little bit, got himself a takedown. Joel Alvarez, what I loved about this performance from him, as a guy with so many submissions and such good jiu-jitsu, he didn't opt to stay on his back once he got taken down and play guard, basically, with Drakkar Klose. He immediately decided to get up to his feet, and it was a great decision for him because he found a big shot on the feet that sent Drakkar Klose bouncing into the cage, and then followed up with a brutal knee that actually knocked out Drakkar Klose basically cold. But Joel Alvarez said, no, I want to make sure he's dead, and started to latch up a guillotine on the completely unconscious corpse of Drakkar Klose. And he was like, oh, this guy's unconscious. And he just started punching him in the side of the head. And he looked at the ref. He's like, dude, this guy's fucking dead. You should stop this. And the ref did. Joel Alvarez got himself a insanely brutal TKO over Drakkar Klose. A great performance from him. This guy's a fucking problem at lightweight. I'm excited to see where he goes here. I think he deserves a ranked matchup, in my opinion. A win over Elrez Brenner, a win over Drakkar Klose. Give him a fucking top 15 guy at least. Soon. I want to see more Joel Alvarez fights. This guy is electric every single time. Moving up to lightweight, Michael Johnson took on Ottman Azaitar. I picked Michael Johnson by TKO. And by God, did he win by TKO. I basically, in my breakdown, I said Michael Johnson was a much more clean technical fighter, way too fast. Ottman Azaitar, when he overswings and he leaves himself wide open. In the first round, I mean, they were getting after it, man. They weren't really being too tentative and too patient. They were pretty much just throwing heat from the start. And both guys kind of stung each other a little bit in that round one. Michael Johnson was landing some nice shots, and Ottman Azaitar landed some good shots on Michael Johnson in that first round that kind of had me like, oh, dude, let's not get hit by those again. I was really hoping Michael Johnson in that first round would mix up his grappling a little bit. He only attempted one takedown. But I think that was enough, honestly, to just give Ottman Azaitar the thought like, oh, this guy might take me down. But in round two, a very tit for tat round one where both guys were kind of landing strikes back and forth. Round two opened up, and it was more of the same. They were getting after it, getting active, throwing big shots. Michael Johnson was a little bit faster, but Ottman Azaitar was swinging from the fucking rooftop. But that ended up being his demise. Ottman Azaitar ran into range, throwing a giant looping combination, and Michael Johnson stepped in with a right-hand counter and absolutely fucking slept Ottman Azaitar out cold dead. Absolutely brutal knockout. I mean, he was done for, and it's not the only guy who got slept into oblivion on this card. But man, it's good to see Michael Johnson get a win. And I want to point this out. Michael Johnson finally broke the fucking curse, fellas. That's 2 in a row for the kid. Let's fucking go. That was a sick knockout. Fun fight. Both guys went after it. A lot of back and forth striking. But Michael Johnson, faster guy, sharper, more technical striker. Like I said, he would catch Ottman Azaitar when he's throwing a giant looping combination, leaving his fucking chin wide open. Caught him with a big right-hand counter. Slept him bad. Insane finish for Michael Johnson. Incredible knockout. If you didn't watch this card, I would at least go try and find these knockouts because they were fucking sick. Opening up the main card at light heavyweight, Navajo Stirling took on Tuco Tokkos. Um, Navajo Stirling was just better than Tuco Tokkos on the feet. Tuco Tokkos really had nothing for him. In the first round, it was just Navajo Stirling basically stalking down Tuco Tokkos and just kind of picking his shots on the feet, landing nice shots here and there. I really like the way Navajo Stirling rips to the body. The only mistakes I think he made in this fight, I think he was a little bit too close in range of Tuco Tokkos. I think he should have been a little bit further back just to prevent, any kind of grappling from happening. But Navajo Stirling, largely in the first round, was just walking down Tuco Tokkos and stalking him on the feet, landing whatever he wanted. Tuco Tokkos basically just stood there and emoted. He would just say, "Nuh-uh, nuh-uh." It's like, dude, you're getting your fucking head boxed in. Move. And the second round, Tuco Tokkos got a takedown, I guess. He did absolutely nothing with it. Navajo Stirling got back up to his feet, and it was just more of the same. Navajo Stirling kind of stalking down Tuco Tokkos, landing good shots on the feet. It would look like Stirling was about to finish Tuco Tokkos. Then Tuco would clinch up. Then they'd stall for about 20 seconds, and then Navajo Stirling would get right back to stalking Tuco Tokkos and landing shots on the feet. That's basically how the fight played out completely. Tuco Tokkos would get the occasional takedown, but he had absolutely nothing for Navajo Stirling in the grappling once he got him there. He really didn't land anything all that irrelevant, and he just looked like he wanted to quit the entire fucking time. It's a good win for Stirling. I wasn't super impressed. I feel like he should have probably gotten the finish over Tuco Tokkos, but he was hanging tough, I guess. Didn't really see any insane weaknesses in Stirling's game. Maybe a weakness in the grappling defense, the takedown defense, but he was able to get himself back up to his feet and keep himself safe. So it's an all right win for Navajo Stirling. Not as exciting as you would have thought on paper, being a minus 1,300, but good win for him. Got himself a 30-27. Moving up, Adrian Yanez took on Daniel Marcos. This fight was pretty fucking fun, fellas. These guys were getting after it. I picked Daniel Marcos by decision, and he did win a decision. I don't know why I doubted myself for a second. But this fight was close, dude. I gave Adrian Yanez a bit of shit just because I said I never really thought he was all that good, but I did say if he's going to win this fight, it's going to be if Daniel Marcos is exchanging in the pocket with him. And there was a lot of pocket exchanges, I'm not going to lie. These guys were getting after it in the boxing. And honestly, Adrian Yanez was impressing me with his leg kick game a little bit. It looks like he's improved that a little bit. And Daniel Marcos really wasn't checking any of the leg kicks at all. In round one, basically Daniel Marcos was just outstriking Adrian Yanez on the feet. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes right here. Oh, I wrote eye poke and groin shot, incredible technique. Yeah. Daniel Marcos landed a eye poke and groin shot at the exact same time on Adrian Yanez. It was fucking so funny. It had me cracking up laughing. But I said Marcos round one, he did more damage, and he did. He was just landing the better shots on the feet, and Yanez really hadn't found his timing yet. In the second round, though, it was very fucking close. Adrian Yanez was getting in the boxing range and landing good shots on Daniel Marcos on the feet. He stung Marcos early, I remember, in round two with a good shot that kind of had Marcos honestly wobbled. I was worried. I was like, oh my God, Yanez he might actually finish him here. But Marcos hung tough. He recovered very quickly, and they just got right back to just banging it out. It was a very close round. I honestly think you could have given that round to Yanez. And it looks like I think every judge did. Well, one judge gave Marcos a 30-27. But in the third round, they went out there, insane striking exchange to start off the third round. Just going back and forth. I think Yanez was actually getting the better of that early exchange in the third round, but he fell into a takedown, and Marcos got a takedown on him, and that was largely the story for the third round. Daniel Marcos was basically just grappling for his fucking life, trying to keep Yanez down, and he did so for most of round three. There were a couple good exchanges for Daniel Marcos, landing good shots in the feet, but the final minute of round three, Daniel Marcos was absolutely gassed out, just basically walking away from Yanez, just trying to get space. He didn't want to fight that last minute. He was absolutely exhausted. So really bad optics for Marcos at the end of that round three. But a really hard fought fight from both guys. Both guys had really good moments here on the feet. Yanez landed some really nice shots in the pocket. Oh, there's another thing I wanted to mention about round three that I took a note on. Daniel Marcos was doing this fucking thing where he would just like duck his head down to like Yanez's hips and just windmill shots over the top. And they were fucking landing on Yanez nonstop in this fight. In like rounds 2 and some of round 3. Good win from Marcos. Yanez did a lot better than I thought he would, to be honest. I thought Marcos would style on him a little bit more here. I do want to say giving Yanez 29-28 is fucking insane. I think there's a way better argument for Marcos 30-27 than a Yanez 29-28, in my opinion. But yeah, Daniel Marcos got it done by split decision. Oh, yeah. I loved this one. I fucking loved this one. Moving up the card, Vitor Petrino took on Dustin Jacoby. I picked Vitor Petrino because I was worried about Dustin Jacoby's chin. He's taken a few losses recently, and I wasn't super confident in the durability. I'm so happy. I only got one pick wrong on the main card, and it was this one. I'm so fucking happy it was this one because I have been a Vitor Petrino hater for the longest time, dude. I have thought this guy has sucked balls for the longest. I picked Modestas Bukauskas against him, and I picked who the fuck? I picked Tyson Pedro against him. I've always thought Vitor Petrino was on fraud watch. I'm glad that it is truly confirmed in my brain that he is on fraud watch. The fight started out, it was very dull, the first 2 rounds. The fans were booing basically this entire fight. They were just, it honestly was just kind of like sparring. Vitor Petrino was advancing the majority of the fight, but he really wasn't throwing anything. I think both guys just had an insane amount of respect for each other. Dustin Jacoby said in his fight interview that he was really trying to be patient, and you could see it. Because the last fight he had, he wasn't patient and he got knocked out because he rushed, basically. This fight, I mean, the first 2 rounds just largely sparring, going back and forth. Vitor Petrino was landing good shots in rounds 1 and 2, cut open Dustin Jacoby around the nose a little bit, but largely very dull first 2 rounds. And round 3, it was more of the same, just Dustin being very patient, Vitor Petrino waiting into range, but not really throwing anything all that crazy. As the fans were booing, as the commentary was like, man, we really need Dustin Jacoby to, I think he should throw some more volume. Dustin Jacoby absolutely unleashes a fucking shit rocket straight for Vitor Petrino's chin, and he absolutely shattered that fraud's fucking jawline, slept him into oblivion. He hit him with the Kamaru Usman George Masvidal 2. He killed him. I'm so fucking glad Dustin Jacoby got this win, dude, because man, I say this every single time there's a Dustin Jacoby fight. After he got robbed against fucking Khalil Rountree, and his fucking career took a serious downturn with 4 losses out of his last 5 fights before this one. Man, and it upset me to see, because he got robbed, and then they just feed him Murderer, Kennedy Nzechukwu, who I don't think is that good, Murderer, and then honestly Dominic Reyes isn't that good either, but I just felt really bad for the way his career was going after getting robbed like that. I'm so glad he got this win, dude, because I like Dustin Jacoby, and what a fucking knockout, dude. I mean, Vitor Petrino was dead unconscious, just like in the shadow realm, in the ether, speaking Portuguese. He was done. Brutal knockout by Dustin Jacoby. While the fans were, it was so funny because all the fans were booing, and then just Vitor Petrino just immediately corpsed, dead. And then everybody starts cheering. It was an awesome fucking knockout. Great win for Dustin Jacoby. Really happy for him. Also, I just want to mention something. It's so funny to me whenever I pick Vitor Petrino, he fucking loses. I pick Vitor Petrino to beat Anthony Smith. He stuffs his head into a guillotine. I pick Vitor Petrino to beat Dustin Jacoby. He gets fucking Usman Masvidal 2 into oblivion. Moving up, Manel Kape took on Bruno Silva. Guys, this fight was fucking awesome. A side story to this fight was Bruno Silva versus Manel Kape's penis. He kicked him in the dick like 3 or 4 times, and Manel Kape was just getting absolutely destroyed by those kicks to the groin. And it was really interrupting Manel Kape because Manel Kape, genuinely, I want to be serious for this, put on the best performance of his entire career. This was a master class for 3 rounds. Manel Kape was in a flow state like I have not seen at flyweight in a long time. He was dribbling basketballs. He did the fucking Adesanya shit. He was in Bruno Silva's face, taunting him the entire time, throwing strikes at light speed for all 3 rounds. If you didn't watch the card and you're like, if there's a fight you should watch, it should be this one. This was a insane masterclass by Manel Kape against a very tough and very dangerous Bruno Silva in all 3 rounds. I mean, Manel Kape was just on another level on the feet. By the way, I picked Manel Kape. I think I picked him by decision, but you see there, he got the TKO in round 3, landed a nasty kick right above the groin to Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva protested and said it was low. It could have grazed, but it was a close one. And then Manel Kape just swarmed him, mixing it up to the body, to the head, and Bruno Silva crumpled in that 3rd round. And Manel Kape secured himself the best win of his career, the best performance of his career. I mean, he looked so damn good on the feet. It's hard to argue that he doesn't get a title shot. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just Pantoja's cleared out everybody in the division. If he doesn't get a title shot, I say give him like a Moreno. I say give him a Moreno in a title elimination bout. This was an amazing performance from Manel Kape. He's a star after this one. I mean, the crowd was eating up everything he was doing, all the taunts, all the striking techniques. I mean, he was really dipping deep into his bag for this performance. This fight fucking ruled. Highly recommend watching this one if you didn't. Great finish too. Happy for Manel Kape. Moving up, our co-main event, Cub Swanson took on Billy Quarantillo. I picked Cub Swanson. I can't remember if I picked him by decision or TKO, but he got a TKO. This fight was, I mean, kind of what you expected. You knew these guys were going to get into a fucking car crash from the start. Billy Quarantillo's style, he gets hit a bunch, he pressures hard, and Cub Swanson, man, he hangs tough and he throws big shots back. But the story of this fight was Cub Swanson's right hand, man. He was landing his right hand on Billy Quarantillo from the start of this fight till the very last second of it. And Billy Quarantillo, like he was eating him well, and he was staying on Cub Swanson. He's landing good shots on Cub Swanson in rounds 1 and 2. Round 1 was, I think went to Cub Swanson just because he found that right hand so early, and he was landing it with so much frequency. But towards the end of that round 1, Billy Quarantillo was kind of getting him up against the cage, kind of putting that grappling pressure on him, kind of melting Swanson a little bit and started to land some good shots. Round 2 was a little bit more of Billy Quarantillo's. He was getting up in Cub Swanson's face, landed a really good knee at one point, hurt Cub Swanson bad. But largely in round 2, I think Billy Quarantillo landed some better shots, in my opinion. But Cub Swanson was still hanging tough, throwing that right hand, landing that right hand. But Billy Quarantillo was looking a lot better, and I was like, oh man, Quarantillo's starting to put that pace on him. Cub Swanson's looking like he's starting to wilt a little bit. And then they came out in round 3, more of the same. Just another giant car crash. They were getting after it, landing strikes. Both of them landing strikes. Billy Quarantillo would land a strike. Cub Swanson would land a strike. And they were just getting after it. It was a very entertaining round. Billy Quarantillo got Swanson up against the cage. They got out, got back in space. Cub Swanson landed, I believe it was like a right hand, and then he landed a 1-2. And that 1-2 came straight from fucking hell because it starched Billy Quarantillo out dead in round 3. That right hand was the story of the whole fight, and Billy Quarantillo did not address that right hand the entire fight. I'm not sure why he didn't circle to the other side at all, but it made for one of the fucking nastiest walk-off knockouts this year. Cub Swanson put Billy Quarantillo out with a absolute piss missile of a right hand. Absolutely flatline unconscious dead, walked off. Insane win for Cub Swanson. About time one of the underdogs I picked on this card fucking hit, eh? And a big one too, plus 180. I mean, it was a hell of a fight. Both guys went out there all heart, went hard as fuck. Good to see Cub Swanson get himself a win at 41 years old. Hell of a fight, hell of a knockout. Yeah. And closing out the card, our main event, Colby Covington took on Joaquin Buckley. I picked Joaquin Buckley by TKO. That is exactly what happened. Joaquin Buckley, man, he looked great this fight. I basically said in my breakdown of this fight that I think the line was a little bit disrespectful, but if Colby Covington is as washed as he was against the Leon fight and it wasn't just him being hurt, Joaquin Buckley is going to beat the shit out of him, basically. And that's basically what happened. Colby really didn't have anything for Joaquin Buckley, whether it was on the feet or in the grappling, especially in the grappling. Joaquin Buckley's takedown defense was really impressive, honestly, in this fight, especially early. You know, Covington's, you know, he might be a little washed, he might be a little old. He's still a good wrestler, but Buckley was able to just sprawl and just out-muscle Covington so easily. in round 1. And the second I saw him stuff that first takedown in round 1, I was like, yeah, this shit's caked. Covington is done for. Buckley was just a much better striker. He wasn't over swinging either in any of the rounds. He was being really reserved, but also very aggressive at the same time. It was a really good performance from Buckley. Honestly, a master class. He looked better everywhere the fight went. Covington got Buckley down in round 2. Did nothing with it. Buckley got right back up. Buckley also landed a shot kind of under Colby Covington's head and scraped Covington's, I believe it was his right eye, and it put a nasty cut on Covington's eyelid right above his eye. And that was what ended up ending the fight, because the doctor basically was like, hey, that can't get any worse. Round 3 starts. Shocker, the guy who was dominating the fight the first 2 rounds continues to do so, and the cut gets worse. Buckley was landing nice shots on Colby Covington. Covington was actually able to get in a good position against Buckley for a little bit, got on top, wasn't really doing anything with it because he was just bleeding everywhere from this cut. It was a gnarly cut. They got back up to their feet. Dan Mergliotta stepped in. The doctor looked at the cut. She called the fight. A great performance from Joaquin Buckley. I don't think the doctor stoppage takes away anything of this performance. He looked great on the feet all 3 rounds. His cardio looked good all 3 rounds. His grappling defense looked great. There's not much to say. Buckley called out on the mic. He said he was going to let the fans decide who he should fight next. And the fans kind of decided that he should fight Kamaru Usman. I think he's earned that matchup. I think he should fight Kamaru Usman. I think that'd be a really good fight for him. This was a great win for him, biggest in his career, biggest moment of his career. He showed up and showed out with, honestly, a masterclass. In my opinion, he looked really fucking good, dude. He looked really good. I think it's time to stop doubting this guy. I think he's a really legit contender at this point. Great win for Joaquin Buckley. Great card too. So many nasty KOs and great finishes on this card, man. I would highly recommend, if you missed any of them, to go check out some of those knockouts. They're fucking awesome. A great way to end the year. Did all right on picks too. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, that was a great way to close out 2024. Looking forward to 2025. Cards don't start back up for another month, basically, so I'll try and make some videos, just kind of MMA in general videos over that dead month that we have. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it a ton. If you're new, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.